Hi, welcome to my lab. In today's video I'll be making a Mermay special. I know it's already June, but I have few situations with this doll and I wasn't able to post her in May. Anyway, I am going to prepare Reverse Mermaid doll, and if you want to hear more about the design and idea, check first part 1 of this project. The link to the video will be in the description box below and in the cards. My model for this transformation will be this budget edition Gigi Grant. I'll be removing these stiff hands and I'll use this beautiful sculpt on her legs. And why my hands are so grey? Anyway, I begin with standard procedure, which includes cutting her hair, softening the vinyl with hair dryer, followed by removing her head and cleaning the rest of the hair plugs from the inside of the head with my tweezers. Last, I am taking her factory paint with nail polish remover with acetone. Okay, these ears are cute, but they have to go. Laguna Blue was kind enough to volunteer her ears for this project. I took my Exactor knife and I carefully removed ears from both dolls to be able to use them in future. If you don't want to cut those ears, you can make a mold. If you are curious how, check this video. After cleaning the vinyl, I took my Podge and glued her new ears. I covered her head with few layers of Podge as well to fill all holes from her rooted hair. She will be bald, so her head should be smooth. Wait for your turn, miss. Times for what we love the most, body modifications. First, I have to remove these stick hands. Let's try with knife. Whoops, another one. Okay, I should predict this. At the end, I cut these arms, leaving huge chunks of plastic inside her body. Spoiler, it would be problem later. Your turn. I also removed her sculpted panties because this time they don't fit to my design. I took Magic Sculpt and epoxy clay and mixed 2 equal parts together. I started to cover with it her body to give her shape which I wanted. I smoothed everything with water. To make her body more proportional, I added more clay to the lower part of her spine. Now her lordosis is much smaller compared to the regular Monster High doll. To cover her private area, I sculpted their shell. We'll talk about this shape later. At the end, I decided to make her butt little bigger. During this, my feelings changed from I love sculpting to I hate sculpting, because my clay started to cure and using it was the real pain in the butt. So, if you want to use Magic Sculpt of any kind of epoxy clay, it is better to mix smaller parts few times than make one big chunk and then fight with too hard clay. When everything was fully cured, I sanded the deal with nail buffers and sanding paper. I mixed this light apricot and pink paints from Arteza with this pearl egg shimmer with water and Liqutex matte medium. I am adding matte medium to increase durability of the paint. Stay. I applied the paint with makeup sponge in many thin layers. For painting details around the shell and joints, I used paintbrush. Next, I took more pink paints and exaggerate this beautiful sculpting on her legs. If you want, you can also use pastels for this, but for me they were too delicate for what I wanted. Her secondary color is green, so I am adding green accents to her legs. I know it looks like dragon fruit. And here are finished legs. This whole blending took ages, but effect is very nice. Off camera I painted her underwater shell green, but it still looks bad. Very bad. So I took my sickle and hammer, I mean screwdriver and hammer, and I removed this misery out of her body. After painting the scar, I was trying different kinds of the outfit. I didn't mind keeping her naked, but I don't think that YouTube would allow me to do this, so I stayed with this Rebecca simple skirt. I traced it on this blue fabric, which fits so nicely to her skin tone. To prevent the frying, I used fry check on the corners of the material. I measured the length of the corner and multiplied it twice to make a ruffle, which I traced to the same material. First I wanted to use this part for the ruffle, but I ended using it as her belt. Sequins which I planned to use on her chest are more transparent than I thought, so I covered her chest with green paint. Then, using my teeny tiny super glue, number 2, I glued the sequins one by one to her body. And here it is. Now you see why I made her chest flat. Time for face up. First I covered her eyes and scalp with pink acrylics to blend it with her complexion. Then I took DuraClear Ultra Matte Varnish, which I diluted roughly 1:1 with water, and applied it with makeup sponge on her face to prepare the surface for watercolor pencils and pastels. I cannot use Mr. Super Clear or any other spray sealants, so I am using liquid varnishes to seal the deal. I started face up with applying pink blush to the sides of her face and eyes to deepen the natural shadows and make her face more three-dimensional. Then I took purple watercolor pencil and I sketched her very round eyes. She's Reverse Mermaid, so I am aiming for making her face as fishy as possible. Honestly, I felt so bad for this doll because Gigi has got such beautiful sculpt and I am changing her into this creepy monster, hiding all her beauty. According to my sketch, this should be all for her face before acrylic paint, but it looked so boring, so I decided to give her scully makeup, trying to be symmetrical on both sides. This is where I ended with watercolor pencils. Now it's time for the acrylics. First, I added some dark pink paint to her scalp to hide that her face has got slightly different tone than her head. Whoops! Watercolor pencils didn't give me decent opacity, so all magic happens when I used acrylics. Until it, I wasn't very sure about this face up, but with each layer of paint I started to like it and I felt less sorry for destroying Gigi Beautiful's face. Here it is! I mentioned that she will be bald, but I'll be using yarn for her anyway. Let's make quickly doll hair out of it by brushing it with pet brush. Next, I am making scaffold out of the wire, which I traced on the Ziploc package. And after this, I am gluing yarn to it to make wefts. When it dried, I am brushing it dry and covering it with a thick layer of Mod Podge. And no, this is not a mistake, even if it looks like one. When it all dried, I get these semi-transparent wefts, which will be her future fins. This which you see now, which I am turning into her hands, I made off camera. The previous one, the back fin and the head fin, I'll return later. I sandwich golden wire between two yarn wefts. They will give some posability in the future. To keep wires in place, I protected them with paper tape, and using Gorilla Glue I glued the wires and both fins pieces together. I did similar thing to the circular head fin, but this time I protected wires with few drops of super glue. This shape wasn't that comfortable to use tape. If you want fins to be even more posable, add more wires, but be aware that they will be more visible. Time to attach these babies in short tutorial how not to do this. Number 1. Hooks. First, I took my electric drill and started to make holes in her shoulders. Yes, remember that her torso is full of chunks of plastic. My cheap drill has problems with it. I attached these hooks in her shoulders and put fins on them. It looks meh. Number 2. Ball joints. Using Magic Sculpt, I made round ends on her fins, which fit to her shoulder. Then I was drilling and drilling and drilling. And at last I see the light. Next, I took paper clip and made from it little hooks, which I put on her fins. Then I connected both hands with rubber band. The result still was
ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. You're fired.
I removed it off camera in the most stupid way, in which I almost lost my eye. Almost, because my big thick glasses saved me from my stupidity. When I was removing the rubber band which stuck in her body, one of the hooks which I made from the paper clip flew directly to my face. When I realized what happened, I was too scared to touch these dolls for 2 hours, so...
He's wearing my head!
Yeah, when I was telling that I had
few situations with this doll,
I meant this. Anyway, when I finally get over my fears, I decided to give up with posable shoulders and make her stiff arms. I am a little disappointed with this because I like when my dolls are fully articulated. But on the other hand, I love Hexchan's repaints which are not articulated, or Magena's from Cat Melon Studios who makes rather figurines than dolls. My previous attempts to make her hands were so ugly, and now I just wanted her to look pretty. And I used the most idiot-resistant method, clay. Maybe next time I'll do posable custom limbs when I will have actual plan how to do this. With help of clay, I attached her back and head fin, which I trimmed with scissors to fit her design. If you remember my sketch, you see that the shape of these fins are different. I was working on this doll for weeks and I was changing my mind many times. To give some more details, I added few dots of clay on her shoulders and head. I took my paints to cover new modifications and here it is. I love her so much. I repainted also her legs once more because paint chipped a lot during drilling the body. I trimmed and styled her head fin. Then I added sequins to her chest and shoulders which I removed for painting. I also added fragments of sequins on her face. It was so precise work, so I have to make it off camera and it was worth it. And the paint on her legs chipped again. It took me 2 hours to repaint these gradients. Last detail. I have got these little Lagunas piranhas in my stock. I already love her skin color and these derpy eyes, but she needs some extra to fit my Reverse Mermaid. That is, legs. I took scissors and cut her tail, then using Magic Sculpt I gave her 2 baby legs and small butt. Not for the future. Use wire as a scaffold because fresh epoxy clay is very flimsy. After some painting, little baby Reverse Mermaid is done. I love this derpy ace so much. I decided to name her Leira, which is Ariel in reverse. I know, not creative at all. She took me much longer than I expected because of my day job and all of these failures with her hands and this dangerous situation. Really guys, be careful when you are crafting. But in general, I am happy with the result, even if at the end I started to be really tired with this project. I'm sorry that I didn't upload her in May, but the video was not ready yet. I hope that I will not let you wait long for my next doll repaint. See you then! Bye!